Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hard Count Football Podcast Live. My name is Jacob Charnow, leading the next generation of football fans live on the Hard Count Football YouTube channel, and of course, right here on 1252 Sports Chicago. Guys, we are less than 100 days away from NFL kickoff. I'm so excited. As we get nearer and nearer, we start to see some of these storylines progress, especially with, the start of OTAs, start of training camp coming up. And then preseason, of course. And we got a lot we got to talk about. A lot of teams that may not be as good as you're expecting them to be. Who can realistically finish number one in both conferences this year? We're going to get into that conversation with Harry the Greek in just a little bit. And of course, it's time. It's the summer. We're starting once you get closer to August. We start to see some of these fantasy football drafts start to pile up. So I'm going to give you my early 2022 fantasy football positional rankings at each quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end, and then give you a sleeper pick at each of those tight ends that I think could have a pretty boom season this year. So with that being said, I say we get right into it. I say we bring in our guest, Harry the Greek, for today. Harry, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man. Good morning. How are you? Hey, can I separate this a little bit? I kind of look too big. There you go. Hey, what's up,
There
man?
you go. I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I appreciate you having me on this beautiful Sunday morning.
Yes, it is very nice here too in New Jersey. It's going to be around 80 today, I believe. So that's very nice. And sunny, not a cloud in the sky, Harry. But not just football. Every week I bring you in here and we talk about some other sports, some stuff going on around other leagues before we get into the football stuff. And listen, the Yankees continue to be the best team in baseball.
Oh yeah,
the Rangers are up 2-0 right now on the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's a great time to be a New York sports fan, Harry. It is. It's a great time, and it's been a while since New York has really dominated, really in any two sports at a time, right? I mean, it's either the Yankees aren't good, the Jets aren't good, the Rangers aren't good, and whoever it is,
right.
Now we got two teams. Now we got the Yankees and we got the Rangers, the only two active sports going on right now that are really killing it. I love to see it, Harry. I love to see it. What are you thinking here with this Yankee team? And now with the news of Miguel Andujar requesting a trade from the team, how do they go about trading for, trading Andujar and then trading for another big name to come in? Because this is a team that they have holes with Joey Gallo and Kiner Falefa. They need some star power. If you were the Yankees right now, Harry, who are you targeting as the trade deadline approaches?
I wouldn't be targeting anybody, to be honest with you. I'd be looking for another arm. That's about all. I mean, there's no team that doesn't have a hole or two in their lineup. It's impossible. Okay, even when you spend $1 billion a year on a team. But if I was the Yankees, I'm just standing pat and I'm just looking for another arm. I'm looking for one in the bullpen and I'm looking for another starter in the rotation. As far as power hitting and hitting for average, I think they just stay right where they're at. And oh, by the way, there's this particular guy that hits in the 3-hole. He's just an unbelievable guy. Just don't pitch to him.
Yeah, Aaron Judge, he should win
Are
MVP.
you kidding me? Just
I mean,
don't even pitch to the guy. What are you kidding me? I don't care if you got bases loaded.
you know,
Just walk him here. Just give him the base. There you
I
go.
know. I feel like my thing with the MVP is like I know they're gonna probably give it to Trout because they always give it to Trout, but like
Not this year.
availability is so important, right? And I know Aaron Judge has had his issues in the past with injuries, but if he can stay on this road, there's no reason why he shouldn't get AL MVP this year. There's zero reason why. He's killing the ball.
I will tell you this. Nobody wins championships this early. You forgot one team in New York that you're not talking about. They're called the New York Mets. They're an unbelievable baseball team. They're kind of banged up, but that team will get it back together. They're strong. But as far as the Lightning versus the Rangers, I'm sorry, whoever's watching in Tampa, the Greek picked the Rangers in 5 games as a big underdog, and they were the favorite. They were supposed to be the favorite because they're a higher rated seed, and I just knew. And it's not merely because that New York is a better team; they're faster right now. Uh, right now, the Tampa Bay Lightning had way too much time off. Way too much time off. And by the way, before we go any further, hey, look, go ahead and leave a comment. We're going to read it live on the air. And you know what? Take a second, share the show. These shows are done organically. Put it on your timeline on Facebook or on YouTube, or share it with a friend. Tell somebody about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the Rangers. I mean, I'm not a big hockey guy. I'll admit it. I know. Um, and I don't watch a lot of hockey, but from what I've watched, this just in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I know that the hockey playoffs, it's about getting hot at the right time, and it's the hot team, it's the hot hand that tends to win these in the playoffs, no matter what the seeding is. And the Rangers just seem like that team. You know, offensively, they keep scoring. They just keep scoring. You watch the game, they look faster. They just look better than the Lightning in the last
Right
two
now,
games.
they're skating backwards faster than the Lightning are skating forward. Okay, and let me tell you
Yeah.
something. Tampa Bay Lightning is a hell of a hockey team, but you know what? There's a point when you're in the playoffs where you lose that momentum. You know the word "mo" we were talking about 2 3 years
Mhm.
ago. They lost that mo because of all that time they had to rest. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's a benefit." No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
I had
You
my
gotta.
predictions. My big predictions for this series were I had the Rangers in 6 games. I think that the Rangers were going to win the first two. This was my prediction. I said the Rangers win the first two at home. They go to Tampa. They lose the next two. Then they win the next two after that. That was it. But I could see this team in 5. I could see this team sweeping the Lightning with the way they're playing. It's just they just look like the better hockey team. Um, but with that being said, Harry, I say we get into some football here. So Ezekiel Elliott spoke some words the other day, Harry. Zeke said he feels like he has something to prove this season. He had a torn, I think it was a PCL last year in week 4. Listen, Zeke's right. He does have something to prove. I absolutely think that there's a lot of Zeke hate. I've been on board with it. I really have. I've been critical of him. I know we've both criticized Zeke a little bit. Um, but the reality is this whole Cowboys team has something to prove next season, right? This whole Cowboys team does. My question is, what are realistic expectations for the Dallas Cowboys this year, Harry? And how far can they really go next season? So they're because their win total is set at 10.5 right now. That feels, the scale can kind of tip either way on that one. I want to get your opinion on it.
Great question. Which team's going to stay healthiest? Philadelphia, New York, or Washington? Yeah, I said Washington. Washington's improved dramatically as well. Not in love with the quarterback position, but anytime you have a Rivera-led team, Washington could be extremely dangerous. With that being said, your question was, what do I expect out of the Dallas Cowboys? You know what? Nothing different. I'm sorry, Dallas fans. Nothing different. I don't even think you're winning the division this year. And as far as Zeke Elliott's concerned, it's not so much on Zeke Elliott as it is on the Dallas Cowboys coaching staff. Yep. I'm the one who's been most critical about it. You don't feed 2 running backs. I'm sorry, not of that caliber. You don't take a Zeke Elliott with a top 10 pick in the National Football League and then you make him grab bench on certain key situations. You just don't do it. A running back like him, you've got to feed him 25 to 30 times a game. If they do that, Dallas makes the playoffs, but they're going to make the same mistake they did last year. And defensively, I don't. They're going to be better. Look at this. I mean, give me a break, Cat. Go away.
So I'll take you one step further, Harry, on
Sure.
this. I'll say, if I'm picking, right, this is, I think, realistic expectations. If the Cowboys want to prove something this year, right, what do they have to do? Well, last year, this was a team that
They got to win,
yeah,
Jacob.
I touted them. I said they were a good team. They were a really good team, and that's because they were a good team. You know, you were critical of that defense, and sure, I agreed, but you know, this was a team that had a chance to win some games last year in the playoffs, and they lost in their first game to the 49ers, who were a considerably weaker team than them for the majority of the season.
By the
I
way, Dallas was a favorite in that game, and
absolutely.
I
Oh,
took the
we all did.
49ers, gave everybody the 49ers on the money line that they were beating.
Yeah, yeah. So did I. I want to go back. I want to see how correct we were through the playoffs because I think we might have both been almost 100% in the NFC.
In the
Maybe not
NFC, the AFC kinda tricked me up because Cincinnati we'll
almost. I
get
think
into
we were
that a little
almost.
bit
Oh
later.
no, I picked in that Eagles game against the Bucks. I think I took them. I think I gave up, or I didn't. I don't know if I gave it out, but I told them +8.5. I liked that. Ended up getting blown out. But I think other than that, I was completely right there. Um, but this Dallas team has to win in the playoff. If you want to prove something, you got to win a playoff game, man. You have to compete. You can't be going in as a favorite, right? And having me and you saying, this is a team that's going to lose in
Yeah.
to a team that's worse than them. That's you can't have that, and it's on everyone. It's on the coaching staff. It's on Jerry Jones. It's on Dak Prescott. It's on Zeke. It's on the whole team because this team, you look at it, they really haven't gotten better. They have not gotten better. If anything, they got worse. They lost Amari Cooper, and I love CeeDee Lamb, and I truly do think he can be that wide receiver one that this team, needs going into next year. But I can't find a position where they really got that much better, right? I mean, come on, like you're running out there with the same team as last year that lost to the 49ers with
And
Jimmy
you know
Garoppolo.
what? And that can be a benefit too, because you have another year's experience, a little bit more chemistry. You may stay a little bit healthier, but they really, 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 truly needed to focus on that defense. For instance, um, when Khalil Mack was available, they should have went out there and made the splash and got him as a D end. When Robert Quinn with the Chicago Bears is going, he could have been reunited. Who, by the way, led the league in sacks last year. Why aren't they knocking on his door to go get him? They are still trying to do everything flashy. I see a couple of comments out there. We're going to get to them in just a second. I'm going to let Jacob go ahead and pull up when he does, and we'll go ahead and answer your questions. But as far as that, look, Dallas is still doing it backwards. Look, when you think of the Dallas Cowboys, the first thing you think of is the doomsday defense. You think defense, and you think of a running game, and you also think of an exciting passing game. But for some reason, Jerry Jones is just so enamored with quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. He's got to have that big run and shoot type of offense. You bring in Mike Holmgren, or what? No, not Mike Holmgren. What's the hell's his name? Who's the head coach for
Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy? Sorry, you bring in Mike McCarthy because he's worked with some of the better quarterbacks of all time, and he's just so enamored with wanting to pass the football. Look, it's okay to be like that. It's okay to want to throw the football like that, but you have to run the football first. And they have arguably two of the better running backs in the entire National Football League and still refuse to run the football consistently.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. All right, well, I will pull up these comments real quick. Do the Bucks sign Sue after signing Hicks? I don't
Can
think
I
so.
can I answer that one? That's a good opinion. I don't think they're going to sign Ndamukong and Sue. Chris, talk. By the way, say a very good morning to you, Mr. Christopher Cole. Let me explain to you why they don't sign Ndamukong and Sue, because he's not a better player. Okay. You're getting a defensive stud to sit right next to the other plug they have in the middle of that line. You have no idea if this guy stays healthy what he does. He will get more pressures up the middle. The only one that will get more pressure on a quarterback and stop the run a little better is a guy by the name of Aaron Donald. That is how good Hakeem Hicks is in the middle. And you remember a couple of years ago when Shaq Barrett was leading the league in pressures? Well, pressures is almost like kissing your sister. It's not quite going to the prom with somebody nice, okay? It means nothing. When you have Akeem Hicks there, Shaq Barrett, and Deshaun Goldston, let me tell you something. You want to talk about pressure on a quarterback? It's going to be a nightmare for opposing offenses. What a great signing for $10 million, up to $10 million. So get on that Akeem Hicks train, because I'll tell you what, there's not a higher motor as a defensive lineman that I've seen in this many years other than an Aaron Donald. I kid you not. He's that good.
Yep. Pig Dog Video says, Harry, are you going to see your socks at the Trop today? Impressive win for the Southsiders yesterday.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I am, representing the good guys wear black in the Chicago baseball. Pig Dog, good morning, by the way. I'm not going to go down there. I was going to take the wife. I have too many things to do today. I'm going to enjoy it from probably the house today and watch them. Very disappointing season because this was one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win it all this year. And again, as last year, the same exact thing. They just can't stay healthy. Right now, 2/3 of their lineup, you're fielding a AAA team out there. Their starting pitching can only, it's been decimated, without question. And their bullpen, it just hasn't been what it's supposed to be. But there has been some bright spots. I will tell you this: if this team does not get together, and this is going to be a very unpopular statement, by the end of June, they just need to go back to like they did 4 years ago, and they need to dismantle the entire team from Jose Abreu to Lance Lynn to Yoan Moncada to Eloy Jimenez to Luis Robert. You get rid of those 5 players and you bring in all your studs and you start all over again because they have a propensity of not being able to stay healthy. Sorry, White Sox fans. That's just the way I see it. But if they get healthy before the end of the month, they better make a big push. This team could be very dangerous. If not, they have no chemistry. They need to blow it up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I want to get into this, Harry, because it's like I mentioned, it's June, it's almost summer. We're gonna start to see a lot of fantasy football mock drafts, Harry, and don't worry, I do not have a mock draft for you today.
Oh,
Um,
Jesus.
but
What,
I
for
do have
football? For next year already?
already. We're gonna start to see it. We're gonna start to see a lot of fantasy football talk. You're gonna start to hear
Oy
me
vey.
talk a lot about fantasy football, Harry, because
Oy
I love
vey.
it. I love it. It's that and the draft are kind of my two favorite things. But I say I have my early, at least, 2022 fantasy football positional rankings for you. So I got my top 5 at each of the positions for fantasy football next year, and I'll give you why I like each of them in those top 5 spots. So where do you want to start? Let's start at the quarterback position, right at the top. All right. Finishing as my QB1 this year, I've been very vocal about who I think is going to finish as QB1. I've been right about my QB1 for the last 3 years. And so I say we continue that trend this year, and I'll go with Josh Allen in my number 1 spot. QB1, big arm. The team likes to pass the ball. He's not going up against any really menacing secondaries. The way I see it, that are so much better than the Bills receiver corps in the AFC East. I love Josh Allen. I think he's going to finish as not only the QB1 in fantasy football, but I think he's probably going to be the MVP this year. That was my big bold prediction, and I'll continue to ride that Buffalo Bills bandwagon because I truly do think that they're going to be a powerhouse this year. Finally, I think they're finally going to get that push past the AFC Championship. My QB2, I got Justin Herbert.
That's my QB1 right there, baby.
I think Herbert is he's a great option. It's a high-powered offense, high tempo. Another year with Brandon Staley. I think Staley struggled last year, figuring out how to adapt this offense to Herbert's abilities. I think that gets kind of buffed out this year. I think the Chargers are the other team that can truly make a run in the AFC this year. And I think that'll be reflected in the quarterback play with all these weapons. And in terms of fantasy football, this defense is going to put Justin Herbert in a lot of great positions. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, all these guys. I really like Justin Herbert's fantasy upside this year, and the Chargers as a whole, I think, are going to be a really, really high-powered offense. I love it. My QB3. Here's where we get controversial, Harry. And remember, this is fantasy football, right? This is fantasy football. This isn't my quarterback.
After you're done with your 5 picks,
yeah,
I'm not going to give you like total opinions, okay? Because I'm not the big fantasy guru. But I want a dark horse.
Okay.
Who's supposed to be mid to low tier. Who do you think could possibly have? I want one from the NFC from you, and I want one from the AFC.
All right, I got my NFC one. I already have my NFC one written down here. I got a sleeper for each position, but I can go AFC and NFC for you if you want.
That's what I like. I love
Absolutely.
this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is great.
For sure. My number 3 quarterback this year, I think is going to be Jalen Hurts. Look at all the pieces. AJ
Who?
Brown,
Who?
Jalen Hurts. Man, I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts, even if he's not, and I think he's gonna be all that, but even if he isn't, right? He has the arm, he can throw the ball. He's got AJ Brown, he's got Devontae Smith, right? And he's got the legs, and he knows how to use them. And that's really what you like to see, and that's going to be reflected in my fourth position as well. But I think Jalen Hurts finishes as a top 3 fantasy quarterback this year. I'm taking him in every single league I can. He was my listen. He's this year's Russell Wilson for me. If you remember from 2 years ago when I said take him in every single league and every format you can, and he blew up. That's
Blasphemy.
that's my guy this year. I'm telling you, Jalen Hurts is my guy in the number 3 spot. I love it. And then listen, I know it's steep, but I got to stick to my opinion. I got to stand my ground. So I'm going to stick with it. Number 4, I got Lamar Jackson. You know, he's always putting up numbers in fantasy football. Listen, he's got the legs. He's a reliable. I'm telling you, he's a reliable fantasy quarterback, Harry, as much as you don't want to believe it. Even if he doesn't throw the ball that much, he could throw for 200 yards in a game and still score you 40 points as a quarterback, 30 points, because those legs, he'll score 3 touchdowns with his legs. And he'll get those yards. He'll get running back level points, which is what you want. That's what you want to see from Lamar. And I think he continues that trend this year. I think I think it's very maintenance level. I think it stays the way it is. And at number 5, you know, I'll listen. I debated putting a lot of quarterbacks at 5 because I think this is where we start to get, you know, there's like the 5 to like 8 spots are kind of like this, and then it kind of drops a little bit. But I'm gonna put Russell Wilson there.
Okay. All right. I've had enough of this already.
Look, listen.
Where is Tom Brady? Where is I can't say I believe I'm going to say his name. Aaron Rodgers. What are you kidding me?
Tom Brady was 6. Tom Brady's number 6. I'll be honest. Tom Brady was number 6. But
6.
This Todd Bowles offense, I think, is going to be a lot more run heavy. Todd Bowles is going to lead. It's going to be a lot more run heavy this year.
Okay. All right. Hold on. What about the selfish kid in the north part, the cheese eating?
He lost his wide receiver one. I don't even want to take a risk on it.
Okay. You see, that's good enough for me. That's good enough for you. So what's wrong with my man in Indianapolis?
Who, Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
He's not finishing top 5.
Here is my dark horse. I'm going to give you 2 dark horse quarterbacks this year. They're going to be low value, not low value, low cost.
I think
high reward.
We might have the same NFC guys.
I'm gonna give you 2 of them. 2 very low cost, very high reward. Hello, Chicago, Justin Fields, because of the same style of attribute of running and getting running back points, whatever the hell you call it. And Mr. Matt Ryan, he's going to have a resurgent type of career. And you know what? Jameis Winston.
That's my NFC pick is Jameis Winston.
There it is. Jameis Winston can sneak into the top 5. But really? You have Lamar Jackson over Tom Brady?
In fantasy football, 100%.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord, please forgive Jacob, for he does not know what he does at this point.
I like I'll put Brady at 6, but I like these other offenses a lot. I like these other offenses a lot more in fantasy this year. I do. And Russell Wilson, you know, I love the weapons he has with the Broncos. I love the offensive line. I think that them being able to establish the run with a Javonte Williams is going to allow Russell Wilson to open up and throw the ball and get open. Yeah, let his receivers get open and kind of break down these offenses, break down these opposing defenses. I really like it. So I'll take Russell Wilson in my top 5 to finish my top 5 this year. I like it. And then my sleepers, like I said, Jameis Winston in the NFC, high upside guy. He really is, and you're going to get him at good value. If you want to store him on your bench, that's probably a better option. And you can kind of play the matchup and see what he does.
Let me tell you something. Jameis Winston's going to be a start over a lot of teams.
Sure.
Okay, especially when he's playing the likes of Carolina, Atlanta, exactly. When he's playing teams that are just weak defenses, that I'm telling you, that boy's going to light it up this year.
I think as most people are playing in 10, 12 person leagues, you only got really 10, 12 starting quarterbacks. So I think Jameis Winston, like I said, a bench guy you kind of sub in based on the matchup, like you said, against Carolina or in Atlanta or whatever. But he's still got the weapons, you know, the Michael Thomas, the Chris Olave, the Jarvis Landrys. I like this offense for Jameis Winston this year, and I think he's going to be maybe, I don't know about reliable, but he's going to be a guy that you can start and he'll have a few weeks where he's scoring 30 plus fantasy points for you. So there's that. Then in the AFC, man, I got to think about this one a little bit. You want to go AFC? The problem is a sleeper, because I got a bunch of guys like I like Joe Burrow, I like Derek Carr, but those aren't necessarily sleeper guys. I mean, I guess if you really want a deep sleeper,
I'd give you one.
I got one that's gonna sound ridiculous.
No, it ain't ridiculous.
I'll tell you. I'll say Davis Mills.
Baby.
I honestly I think the team's gonna throw the ball a little bit, and I like that.
Give the Greek some love.
He's a streamer. I think he's a streamer. I think he'll be a stream guy this year. I think you could definitely stream him a few weeks. But there's not a lot of. I mean, right? Like you look at the AFC and you have all these guys, but you can't say any of them are like sleepers because, I guess you could say Trevor Lawrence also the same reasons. Like they're not high-powered guys, but they're going to throw the ball a lot every game. So I like that. Got teams that are just going to play behind. In terms of streaming options, you got a guy in a bye week. I think they'll be fine options for you. So yeah. So also Jameis Winston and Trevor Lawrence / Davis Mills. What is that who you were thinking, Harry? Were you thinking Mills also? Yeah.
I was thinking Davis Mills and some no-name quarterback up in Jets country because I think he's going to have a phenomenal year this year.
I do too. I just don't think he's going to throw the ball enough for him to be fast.
No, another low-cost, high-value type of pick, very situational type of quarterback.
Absolutely, 100%. All right, we got running backs now. We got running backs. Here, you're gonna hate this. Our RB1, Jonathan Taylor. Yeah,
Why would I hate that?
No, I don't know if you'll hate it. I don't know if you'll hate. I think once we move into the 3 to 5 spot, you might, because it's hard to pick these running backs. I knew you were gonna dislike my quarterback options the most out of all these, though.
Yeah. You think?
Yeah, I got our RB1 is going to be Jonathan Taylor. You look what he did last year. You look at the workload. It's the similar offense. He's going to run the ball just as much. He's got everything you want. And as long as he stays healthy, I don't think anyone's going to compete with him in terms of fantasy. Because number 2, I got Derrick Henry, which makes sense because the workload and you want your running back to get as many touches as possible. And Derrick Henry just doesn't have that receiving aspect in fantasy that Jonathan Taylor does, which is why he's not my RB1. But he's certainly a top option for me just because he's constantly putting up numbers and scoring touchdowns. Number 3, bold move. I got Austin Eckler finishing in the top 3 this year. A similar thing. Great offense. A great offensive line. This offense is going to be. He can catch the ball. He can catch the ball, and that's what you want to see. And he finds holes, and he was really an underrated guy last year. So I love Austin Eckler in the top 3 this year. Number 4, I got Christian McCaffrey. Hard to bet against Christian McCaffrey, but the thing that stops me here is availability. He's been kind of on and off the field the last couple of years. I think there's a few better options than him this year, but when he's in, man, he's a guaranteed, touchdown or 2, 20, 25, 30 points for you. Maybe even more. So I love I love Christian McCaffrey, but the reason he's so low in my top 5 is because of, that availability aspect, which I think is fair. And then at number 5, I got Dalvin Cook. A lot of people forget about Dalvin Cook. I don't know why. Dalvin Cook's a fantastic running back, and I think this offense with Kevin O'Connell is going to run the ball a lot more. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to serve more of a Ryan Tannehill-like role than he did. I don't think they're going to rely on him to do as much, and I think they're going to let Dalvin Cook because, he's a fantastic running back. You watch him play. He makes a difference on the field every time he has the ball, and I think he'll end up finishing top 5 in fantasy. And then my sleeper picks. Listen, I really like my AFC one. My NFC one, I gotta think because I only wrote one down, so I gotta think a little bit. NFC, I'll say Brees Hall. That's not the NFC. That's the AFC. NFC. You know what? You know what I'll say? I'll say Saquon Barkley's the sleeper pick this year, man. I will. I'll say it because this Giants offensive line has improved. And I know Brian Dibble didn't like to run the ball last year. But come on, like Saquon's going to touch the ball so many times if he's healthy. He's going to be good. Saquon is a good player in a bad offense. And sometimes those are the best fantasy players.
Where do you have David Montgomery?
I actually had him relatively high. If I were to guess, I think I had him. I think I had him in the 12 or 13 spot. Am I right?
I have him as a top 5 this year because of the fact that they're going to run the football and they're going to play defense. That's why I think I think if he does become a top 5 running back like he should be, that will enable Justin Fields to go ahead and do what he's got to do this year.
Let me tell you where I had him. I actually had him lower. I actually had him at that 14.
At
14.
So
I think it's here. So I'll tell you my full list because I think perspective is a lot here with these running backs because there's so many. After Dalvin Cook, I had Joe Mixon, then Kamara, then Nick Chubb. Then I had Leonard Fournette, who people are going to forget about, but he's going to be dominant guy every single week. Then I had Najee Harris at 10.
Wow.
DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, James Conner, Zeke. And then I have some of my sleeper guys here. So I'll say in the NFC, God, let me think. I mean, yeah, I guess David Montgomery, honestly. I mean, if people like me are ranking him at 14, 15, you can get some good value for him. He could be a nice two-headed monster with your running back duo on your team here. I like that. And then my AFC one, Travis Etienne is going to be a monster this year. No one's talking about him. He's going to be like Deebo Samuel this year. He's going to run the ball. He was going to switch to receiver. Like, he is a great, versatile player. He's that guy. He is that guy. And it doesn't matter that Jacksonville's bad. He is going to be that good. Everything that people wanted Laviska Shenault to be 2 years ago, or even last year, that's what Travis Etienne is going to be and more.
That's fair.
He's going to be that good. I'm telling you. He's going to be an every week guy. Could be an RB1 level player, and you're going to get him for great value in the later rounds. Receiver time, Harry. Receiver time. Wide receiver 1, Cooper Kupp. Hard to bet against a guy who did what he did last year. To get first guy to ever get the Triple Crown. Most receptions, most receiving yards, and most receiving touchdowns all in one season. No one has ever done that, right? Jerry Rice did it. It was Jerry Rice, but he did it in different years. Cooper Kupp did it in 1 year. Same offense, same guy throwing him the football. I love Cooper Kupp this year. That's my wide receiver 1. Wide receiver 2, I got Justin Jefferson. Him and Jamar Chase are in my 2 and 3 spots. They're interchangeable. Both guys, high upside. You want the volume. If you like volume, you're going to get it. These guys are going to get the ball, 10, 15 times a game. I love these two guys. I would draft either of them. Probably, first, second round. Those are these top 3 are these type of guys. Honestly, all of them are. Number 4, I got Devontae Adams. I don't know where this narrative came from, Harry, of now that Devontae Adams isn't in Green Bay, he's not going to be good anymore. Derek Carr, the chemistry is there with Derek Carr. They're actually best friends. They are actually best friends. And they played together in college. And Devontae Adams is one of the most talented in the league. You want to talk about a guy who I'm telling you is not just a product of his quarterback? That's Devontae Adams. He's so open every single time. Even Aaron Rodgers didn't need to place anything for him. He was open. He's beating guys every play. He's always open. I think that only continues with the Raiders and with Derek Carr, because Derek Carr, he's a really, really good quarterback, man. I'm telling you, he's gonna get Devontae the ball. Number 5, I got Stephon Diggs. Same reason. You want a nice duo. You pair Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs, you're going to win a lot of weeks. This is going to be a tandem that scores a lot of fantasy points this year. And I think Stephon Diggs absolutely will finish in the top 5. Sleeper picks. Harry, first of all, what you think of that top 5 in general? That receiver list.
I liked it. Look, everybody knows I'm not a fantasy player per se, but I do like to dibble with it because it's a lot of fun. I've always believed in keeping your bets low and your returns high. I love, I don't like to do things that have diminishing returns. I'm a very situational player. Like when we were talking about Jameis Winston, like if just because Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback or Tom Brady is a better quarterback, if I got New Orleans playing Atlanta, I'm running after a quarterback like Jameis Winston. So that's the way I kind of play fantasy football. And that might be wrong. I don't know. Uh, but I think your wide receivers are spot on. I really do.
Thank you. All right, I guess we'll move into the sleeper picks for that. I'm trying to just think
Except
of,
for the Cooper Cup. I didn't like the comparison between him and Jerry Rice.
well,
Nothing personal.
only because they did the same
I
thing.
I understand rules are meant to be broken and everything else, but you never really had a chance, and it's not anything that's your fault. You're just not old enough to ever remember Jerry Rice. You talk about a dominant player. Oh my God. And another quarterback that people don't talk about, but I name of Terrell Owens. Oh my Lord.
Mm-hmm.
He would just take over games as a wide receiver. Literally just take them over.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my sleeper pick in the AFC is Sky Moore. He's a rookie, so you can get him in the later rounds. He'll be available. Chiefs guy. He got drafted in the second round. I mocked him in the first to the Chiefs. I don't know how they ended up getting him in the second. But you look at the receiver room. He's kind of their wide receiver one. I mean, I know they have Juju, but he's a slot guy. They're going to really let Sky Moore work. And Mahomes is going to find I mean, he's your wide receiver one. You got to get him the ball. He'll be that guy for the Chiefs this year, and I'm pretty confident that you could. I mean, you could take a chance on him in the later rounds and just hope for upside, and I think you'll get it. But in terms of you're not really going to be wasting a bad pick. By doing that. You're not going to waste a high value pick on Sky Moore, but you can get him in the later rounds, and I think you'll be happy about it. And then in the NFC, you look, you could say, yeah, you could say Darnell Mooney's a sleeper pick. I like Darnell Mooney, but I think at this point he's really not. You want to look at, and you can look in the NFC East. Find a few guys. A Michael Gallup could have some pretty high upside this year. Another guy I really like. Receiver position is hard because it's very week to week. But yeah, I think Sky Moore and then I'll say Darnell Mooney are both two really good options for you this year. Tight end position. We got tight ends. Actually, let's go through some of these comments before we get into that. Here we go. Kyle Nicole says, "Morning, gents. Good morning, Kyle.
Morning, Kyle. What's up, brother?
Blake Anthony's here watching the show. What up, Blake? He says they some
Blake.
I love that. Chiefs got Mel Nephew in the 4th round. Joshua Williams. That's cool. That's awesome. You got a Greek and they love to eat. Stay thirsty.
Whoa, don't go there. You know what? Stay my friend.
Yeah.
Only Blake knows what I mean by that.
Here we go. We got the tight end position. I actually threw around this number 1 tight end position, this tight end 1 position a lot. I ended up settling on Travis Kelce, because, he's that big boy there, Yeah. He's that big boy there. Mahomes is going to throw him the football. You got the chemistry. You got everything. Tyreek Hill's no longer there.
He's going to get a lot more. He's even going to get more targets, man.
Yeah. It's just going to pile on. And then at number 2, I got Mark Andrews. He actually finished, if I'm not wrong, that as the tight end one last year. And Mark Andrews, he does everything, And in terms of fantasy, you want guys who can catch the ball. So Travis Kelce, then Mark Andrews. Then I'll go George Kittle. Actually been disappointed in the last 2 years, if I'm being honest.
George Kittle, he can't stay healthy, but
that's why I'm worried about it. But he's a great player, and I think it's hard. It's hard to predict injuries, but I think that Trey Lance. This is technically, I know it's not really, but in my eyes, it's his rookie season as a starting quarterback because it's his first year starting, and we know those guys. They
For
love their
who?
tight ends for Trey Lance, and we know that these young quarterbacks they love throwing to their tight ends, and I think that's going to happen a lot this year. And I like George Kittle at the number 3 spot. Then I got Kyle Pitts, Mariota, same thing. It's going to be a lot of short stuff, a lot of short passes when he does throw it. I think it's going to be to Kyle Pitts or to Drake London, but I think it's going to be to Kyle Pitts because he's going to be running a lot more convenient routes that Drake London's going to be running. And then number 5, I got Darren Waller. I love Darren Waller. I do, but the problem is there's a lot of mouths to feed on this Raiders offense now with, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. This team is so good, but at least offensively, they're that good. But in terms of fantasy, Darren Waller, hard to, whatever. What about if Harry the Greek and Jacob Charnow one-on-one? Who has more passing yards? Young stud versus slick veteran.
Fight.
So in what situation here? So am I? Where are we playing quarterback? Who am I going up against?
Yeah.
I'll stand my ground here. I'll be confident in myself.
Blake, here it comes. Blake, pick a link. Jump on, Mr. Blake Anthony.
Yes, sir. We'd love to talk to you. That would be awesome.
We'd love to talk to Mr. Blake Anthony.
And then we got my sleeper picks, Harry, in the NFC. I got Irv Smith Jr.
Jacob's on the Jets and Harry's on the Bears.
Oh, then
you'd lose.
That's a lose-lose anyway.
No, but you're gonna lose.
No. I want that offensive line that the Jets have more than the Bears have.
Hey man, I like that running game and the legs that I got with a quarterback.
Give me Lake and Tomlinson up front. Give me Elijah Vera Tucker. Give me 6'7" Mekhi Becton guard.
That's okay, man. Give me my boy, Mr. Darnell Mooney.
I'll take Elijah Moore. I'll take Elijah Moore, and I'll match him up with Darnell Mooney any day. I'll take my boy GW. I'll take all of them.
You see what you did, Blake?
Now you got me talking about the Jets.
Now you started a turf war.
Now you got me talking about the Jets. But my sleeper pick at the tight end position, I got Irv Smith Jr. Tyler Conklin's no longer on the Vikings, and that's another guy I'd be able to throw to as a Jets quarterback is Tyler Conklin because he's a dog. But Irv Smith, I think he'll put up similar numbers to Tyler Conklin last year. A reliable streamer guy. If you have a bye week, if you need an emergency flex or whatever, or some injuries, Irv Smith could be a good guy for you to have. And then in the AFC, Hunter Henry had some really, really solid weeks last year. I love what, Mac Jones really liked throwing to him last year. And I think that's it's a pretty good sleeper pick to have. Pretty good bench guy to have. All right. Oh, he's here. Let's bring him in.
I'm going to bring my boy in.
Mr. Blake Anthony. Blake, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Gentlemen, what's going on? Good morning.
Gentlemen? Who the hell is he talking to? Hold on. Let me turn my share around. Who's he calling a gentleman?
I was talking more to Jacob, sir.
Oh, okay. Good.
The young stud, the young gunner.
Stay Greek, my friend.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
You got it.
So you guys get all caught up in this Harry versus Jacob talk there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll take a back seat to the young gun.
So, what's going on, fellas? What is today's topic? What are we getting into?
We're about to get into here. We'll talk about our next topic here because I would love your opinion on this too. Here, we're going to talk about who can realistically finish as the number 1 seed in both the AFC and the NFC, because there's only a handful of teams, man. There really is. My number 1 team in the AFC, the teams that realistically I think could finish in the top 2 are the Bills, the Chargers, and the Bills, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. I think are the only teams that realistically could finish in the number 1 spot. The only 2 I would really take are the Bills and the Chargers. It's hard to count out the Chiefs. The Bills. I told you. I said it. I'm riding that wagon till the end of this season. I love the Bills this year. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think Josh Allen's going to win the MVP. I think this is a team that's They are due to win something because the only thing that cost them last year was bad luck. So there it is. What are you guys thinking, Blake? We'll start with you. What are you thinking in the AFC? Who do you think could finish with that number 1 seed?
Well, first up, the AFC reminds me a lot of the NBA Western Conference final now. It's just so loaded with talent, especially that division. Chiefs,
Great
Chargers,
analogy.
Broncos, the whole and the Raiders. Jesus, that whole it's just talent all in that division. It's going to be a dogfight alone. If you could put those 4 in the playoffs right there, you have a battle. But if we're just talking about AFC right now, I think the Chiefs. You always want to count the Chiefs out, but you can't because now they're trying to, with all the money situation. I knew the Roosters would come to Crow when you give Patrick Mahomes a huge contract. You ain't gonna be able to keep all your stars. So the Tyreek Hill trade didn't surprise me, but they're gonna have to rely on draft picks. So and you got the Bills. I don't know. I kind of want to go Raiders on this one.
Really? Wow. I'm telling you, man. I was saying before, this team is loaded. They're so good.
I just think they got a new attitude, new head coach. Guy I interviewed myself, Denzel Perriman's leading that defense. Went to his first Pro Bowl after his first healthy season.
Good point.
The addition of Devontae Adams paired up with his old college quarterback in Carr, so it's I don't know, it's almost like a dream team almost. For some reason I want to go with the Bills, but I just got this strange feeling they're going to have some type of setback that's going to keep them back this year.
Y'all asking me yet?
Go ahead, Harry.
You ready? Great analogy, Blake. But it's so easy to take teams that are the sexy pick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to give you 2 teams. The Raiders. And nobody's talking about my boys just south of Chicago and Indianapolis with a Matt Ryan-led offense with a running game and a defense. Don't fall asleep on Indy. Oh, my Lord. And for all you naysayers that think that Matt Ryan's washed up, just watch.
No, he's not.
Just watch. He's not going to have to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. He's only going to have to throw the ball 20, 25 times a game, Blake.
He can't really because they don't really have any really other studs besides Michael Pittman Jr. Unless somebody else emerges. But at some point, they're going to have to throw the ball. But it's nice that you could rely on Jonathan Taylor, so you better just hope he doesn't get hurt.
I'm going to tell you right now, Matt Ryan will make a couple of those underrated wide receivers, the so-called no-name ones, much better players because he's that type of quarterback. Look, man, you could have mediocre receivers. When you got a running game like they have, that really opens up a passing game. I'm just saying, I'm in love with Indianapolis this year. In love with them.
If you're a fantasy person, I'd be picking that tight end out there in Indianapolis because he's going to get a lot of balls with that play action game.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That just didn't sound right. Blake, I didn't get a chance to ask you, what'd you have for breakfast?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
All right. We'll move on. We'll move on to the NFC here.
You sure? Are you sure?
Because
I haven't eaten yet.
Whatever. I'll say it. I'll be the one to say that the number 1 team in the NFC, the teams that can finish. I have 2 options here.
All right.
You know what? I'll say 3. I have 3 options.
Go for it.
Again.
Go for
number 1, I hate to say it. The Buccaneers could always finish as that number 1 seed.
Brady playing? Yep.
It's Tom Brady and this team is loaded and in a bad division. So they could win a lot of games, especially within the division. And that's kind of leads me into my second pick also, which is a team I've been touting a lot the last couple of weeks. People are sick of me talking about them. And that's the Philadelphia Eagles, who could absolutely win, 12, 13 games this year just because they're in a terrible division. They're in a terrible, terrible division. They could easily go.
The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, aren't they?
Yeah.
The who?
Yeah.
The who?
The Cowgirls.
This is a team,
Oh, the Cowgirls.
The Eagles could finish 5-1 within their division already. And then I honestly think the addition of AJ Brown and this draft that they had is they're going to have an immediate impact. And I think this team could be really good. Or I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they could win enough games where it's like the Titans last year, where they just win enough games because their division was bad that, they could sneak into that. They could be competing for that number 1 seed. But same thing with the Bucs. And then there's always the Rams too.
Here's the Cowgirls. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh Lord,
And I still really do like the Rams.
you got to.
Yeah, I know they lost OBJ, they lost Von Miller, but they still have Cooper Kupp, still got Matt Stafford, still got Aaron Donald, still got Sean McVay, and a loaded defense and pretty good offensive line still, and you got Cam Akers coming back, so you got a more reliable run game. So I like that too. So what do you think? Well, I mean, Blake, what are you thinking in the NFC here?
Well, I know everybody's going to ride that Eagle bandwagon. I just have to take a history lesson back here. And I remember the Eagles did the same thing back a few, a decade or so ago with Donovan McNabb and the boys when they picked up Nadia Asamoah and a lot of veterans on their team.
Yeah.
And they named that squad the Dream Team, and it ended up turning into Team Nightmare because all the Eagles they couldn't work with. He had a lot of injuries. We'll see how that works. And Jalen Hurts hasn't really established himself as a big leader on that team. I have a lot of connections out there in Philadelphia, and they dealt with a lot of turmoil that I probably won't speak on till probably the start of the season when it all clears up.
Wow, this is interesting.
Yeah, I was told not to talk on it because there's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about last year. But we'll see how that turns out because it's all going to start with Jalen Hurts and
Give us a little nugget because you and I talked about this a little bit. Just a little nugget because I wasn't really at liberties to say anything and I really wanted to tell Jacob, but give us just a little nugget. Can I just say this out loud first?
Go ahead.
Okay. I assure you, the way this team is put together, if QB1 doesn't get it done, he's done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Done. Okay,
yep.
that I did know.
But
you know, Blake, with all due respect, Blake, hang on, Blake, with all due respect, I don't think this team is going to be like a Daniel Snyder team from 10 or 12 years ago. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I really honestly think that this Philadelphia team is built to win and win now. I think their biggest problem is going to be QB1. And just give us a little nugget of what you know. Just a little one.
Well, last year he dealt with some players having drug problems.
Mm-hmm.
Drug problems on the team that were exited from the team. And if you looked at the why they weren't playing, it was labeled under personal reasons, which led to some retirements that happened. And there's going to be some other retirements coming this year as well. So just stay tuned to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Wow.
I love it. I love it. Sounds like Dr. Evil. What was his name? What was that guy's name? Dr. Death?
Dr. Who are you talking about? You talking about
with that good laugh. Yeah. The laugh.
Oh, you talking about what, Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
Dr. Claw?
Yeah, Doctor. You sounded like Dr. I knew someone else that sounded like Dr. Claw too. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Blake, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. So why don't you go ahead? I appreciate you coming on. I mean, it's always awesome to hear from you. But we'll go ahead. Tell everyone where they can find you. Go ahead and promote yourself a little bit.
You can find me on ESPN, Tampa Bay TV, Blake Anthony 49. I ain't hard to find. I've up, talked on Twitter a lot now. So I tweet a lot now and talk to people, just conversations about football. And you can find me anywhere there or find me on ESPN on Facebook.
Yes, sir, man. All right. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
Cheers, mate.
Blake, be good, brother. Man, I love having Blake on.
Yeah, he's awesome.
How about that little nugget?
I know.
How about that little nugget?
We'll see how that develops.
Before you let me promote myself, let me go ahead and give out some picks. Right at the bottom of the screen, boys. At 65 and 31. You want to make some money? 65 and 31. Today for you, ladies and gentlemen. Mets at the Dodgers. Take the Mets at plus 170. Toronto at home against the Minnesota Twins. I don't go with too many favorites. This one I can't help myself. Toronto's going to continue that win streak that they're on. The White Sox to pick them at the Tampa Bay Rays. Lucas Giolito, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. Come on, White Sox. Houston at the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City. Remember what I keep telling people. Bad teams at home. You get them as a big-time favorite. I mean, a big-time home underdog. Take Kansas City plus 220. Oakland. I forgot who they're playing. They're at home. Lord, my brain's not working. I wasn't picking a side. I'm picking over 7. So in the Oakland game, pay over 7. Right now, we got the Mets, Toronto, White Sox. Kansas City is a big underdog and over 7 in the Oakland game.
What about the Yanks? Yanks playing the Tigers today at home.
Well, they're
Beat 'em up.
supposed to win, but they're like plus 1,500. I mean, it's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
stupid. How do you bet that?
Ridiculous.
How
All
do
right,
you
all right.
bet that? You can't. I mean, but hey, hold on.
Where can we
The
find you?
Greek a couple of weeks ago, when the White Sox were playing the Yankees, that didn't lose 2 series the entire year, haven't lost consecutive games back to back. I predicted we're going to lose and go down to the White Sox in a doubleheader. You do recall that?
Mhm.
And they did. So it's situational type of baseball. Where can people find me? They can find me right here on your show, on the next generation of football fans, on Hard Count Football Podcast. You can also catch me on Friday nights right here on 1252 Sports on the with the over under 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And don't forget to tune in to 2 other shows throughout the course of the week right here on 1252 Sports. It's Hubes, Brews, and Views. That's right. Chicago's very own Fred Hubner brings it live. And I'll tell you what, has a great show, talks about all kinds of different things in the sports, loves to talk about beer. And then we have Mr. Fat Mike himself. Wednesday nights. Don't forget to tune in. But thanks for having me on. You can see me and you can email me at harrybergtp@gmail. You can also find me on Facebook, Harryberg, Twitter, HarrybergTP. And that's it. Jacob, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir, man. All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace. All right, guys, and with that, we're gonna wrap today from the Hard Count Football Podcast Live. Thank you so much, everyone for joining me today. Special thanks to Harry the Greek for coming on as always, and Blake Anthony for jumping in. Love to hear from him. It was awesome to get that little nugget about the Eagles. So I guess we'll stay tuned on that. Go follow me on Twitter at Jacob Charnow, Instagram at Hard Count Football. Subscribe to the Hard Count Football YouTube channel. Check out the Hard Count Football Podcast Live every Sunday morning, right here at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. On 1252 Sports on my YouTube channel. Check out all the other shows from 1252 Sports Chicago. There's a lot going on, like Harry just talked about. A ton of great stuff going on here. And yeah, I'll see you all next Sunday morning.